Continuing with our applications of percent, in this section we want to look at sales tax and commission. Here's our first problem. Suppose the sales tax in California is 6% of the purchase price. If a new food processor sells for $750, how much is the sales tax? So the sales tax is going to be 6% of the purchase price. So what we want to know is this. What number, I'll just abbreviate, is 6% of 750. So I want to know what number is 6% of 750. Translate this into an equation. So I'll get n equals 0.06, that's 6% as a decimal, times 750. Now when I do that, when I actually do that multiplication, I end up with, let's see, 45. So I'm going to leave myself a little room right here. 6 times 700, 0.06 times 750 is 45. So $45. So what I end up with is this, $45. $45 is the sales tax. The sales tax rate is 6% and the purchase price is $750. So you don't want to confuse the sales tax itself, $45, with the sales tax rate, which is a percent. So the sales tax rate is a percent, the sales tax itself is a number of dollars. So if a food processor sells for $750 and you have to pay 6% in sales tax, you're going to end up paying $45 in sales tax. Let's look at our next problem. Suppose the purchase price of a dining room set is $450. If the sales tax is $22.50, what is the sales tax rate? So I want to know what the sales tax rate is if I paid $22.50 in sales tax on a $450 purchase. So I want to know this. Let's write it this way. 22.50 is what percent of 450? So 22.5 is what percent of 450. That's the problem that I'll translate into an equation, and from that get the sales tax rate. Let's take a look. So I have 22.50 is what percent times 450. Divide both sides by 450. So I divide the right side by 450, divide the left side by 450, and I end up with, using a calculator, 0.05 is equal to n. Now, since I asked for a percent, I want the sales tax rate, and I want it given as a percent, I'll write down n is equal to 5%. So if you end up paying $22.50 in sales tax on a $450 purchase, then the sales tax rate must be 5%. Let's take a look at our next problem. Problem 3, a real estate agent has a commission rate of 6%. If a piece of property sells for $24,000, what will the agent earn for commission? So I want to know what number is 6% of 24,000. So what is 6% of 24,000? Translate into an equation. N equals 0.06 times 24,000, because of translates into multiply. And then when I do that, I end up with, and I'll use a dollar sign here, $1,440. So that's what N comes out to be, and that's the real estate agent's commission. So the commission rate is 6%. The purchase price, or the selling price of the piece of property, is $24,000. The real estate agent gets 6% of that in commission. So the commission is $1,440. The commission rate is 6%. So let's look at the next problem. If the commission on an $800 washer is $112, what is the commission rate? So what I want to know is this. 112 is what percent of 800. So $112 is the commission, the sale is $800, and I want to know the commission rate. So I want to know 112 is what percent of 800. So 112 is what percent, that will be N, times 800. Divide both sides by 800, and I end up with N is equal to, that's this N, those divide out, is equal to 112 over 800, which turns out to be 0.14 And since I'm looking for a commission rate, I want to write that as a percent. I'll write it as 14%. So if $112 in commission is paid on an $800 purchase, then the commission rate is going to be 112 divided by 800, which comes out 0.14, which as a percent is 14%. Now that's a quick look at sales tax rate and commission rate.